5 panelists with me. We'll be touching on this topic on engaged business excellence assessors. And award secretariats play a very important part. So they are key to effective implementation of business excellence initiatives, or some may call it program. So whatever you do, assessors have a very important role. From my experience, I've seen many countries embracing the business excellence framework, and they try to get the program going and active. Myself, being involved in this for a long time, the observation is that somehow or other, assessors don't seem to be considered as very important to the program. Why and how, we'll be discussing later, to understand that the success of the business excellence program, a key enabler is assessor. Why? We will share it later, so that we know that from the whole formula of the administrators and the leadership, deciding on what the country is going to do in adopting the framework, whether it's Baldrige or APQO based, it is okay. But then rolling it out to the organizations, where the leadership of the organizations accept and deploy, and of course get feedback on the effectiveness of what they're doing by using the holistic framework. How they get to know is feedback from internal assessors or external assessors. Whether they are worthy of an award is also assessed, and the findings come from assessors. So that's where assessors have a very important part. Without assessors, you will not be able to know how you're performing, or as external assessors as an independent party to tell you how well have you used the framework, how effectively are you benefiting from the use of those frameworks. So that's the angle, or that's the scope that we are trying to be discussing today. So just a bit of my own background, why I'm talking about all this. I've been involved in these things for the last maybe 22 years in business excellence. I played many roles. I'm involved in the management systems, involved in innovation, surveys, and whatnot. So this gives me the privilege, or perhaps the benefit, of really understanding the various organizations, how they use it, public or private sector. I've been in the Air Force with the ministries, with SC Engineering, and private and public, and assess all kinds of organizations. So we see a lot of things. So I like to share what we see in various platforms, because we want to benefit from what we see and what we learn so that we can be much better. So as I say that for me, from the assessor perspective, when I was with the Singapore Technology Group of companies in Singapore, and of course then I went to SC Engineering, I was the internal guy giving feedback to the bosses with the findings, because I have my own colleagues and team who help to do internal assessment. Then from Business Excellence Initiative in Singapore, I've also been involved in that. I've also trained and assessed for Baldrige and with the Australian Business Excellence systems that they have. And as I said, I've been involved in 97, it's about almost 21, 22 years. And lead assessor in Singapore, we have a thing called Green Jacket for having led assessments. And then they have a thing called Gold Jacket. I'm proud to say, or maybe I have to be humble, I'm the only one Gold Jacket in Singapore. Since 2015, they're looking for a second one. Why you get a Gold Jacket is because you do work, you do more work, they give you more work. And if you do a good job, they give you more work. So but the goal is hidden in the jacket. Hope it is real goal, but I think end of the day it's a recognition system in Singapore, because we believe we want to learn and share with the community, the region, and also with the world. And of course, we assess in various countries. There's a good exposure to know how Singapore does it, how other countries does it, so there's a whole opportunity of learning. And the public sector, the public service transformation in Singapore, so I'm also involved with them even up to today, as a judging panel to see how the public sector use service to perhaps transform themselves. But the most important is that as assessor, I personally believe, and some of my colleagues also believe, that we must support the objective of the business excellence initiative. Why a country or somebody wants that initiative adopted and deployed as an objective. So that objective should be understood. Or whether it's a quality program or excellence program, we must know what is the objective. So assessors have a role to ensure the objective can be met by how they do the assessments and how they help the organizations to understand in case they have an issue so that you can actually help them to understand better. So from that perspective, I think we play a very important role. So I must share that in today's panel, we're very honored. We got five experienced assessors who are here. First, help me to welcome Mr. Ali Fadhlani. Give a round of applause to Mr. Ali. As you can see that he got a lot of experience. He is the head of business excellence and innovation in 2454 in UAE. And of course, the experience tells you that he has really walked the talk and delivered and acquired the skills from various different areas. So it's a very rich body of business excellence that we have. And then we have next Ms. Mangalika from Sri Lanka. She's also our Secretariat for the Global Performance Excellence Award that we have. And of course, she too has been involved in the Sri Lanka National Quality Award programs. And she's an experience in this area, so she'll be sharing her part of the feedback. And next we have Mr. Give a round of applause to. Next we have Mr. Dialah. He's an organizational effectiveness senior specialist in PT ANTAM. This is a large organization, state-owned kind of enterprises today. In Indonesia, he's an assessor. He's also an assessor for the Global Performance Excellence Award. He was playing a role of a lead assessor where we assess organizations. I think a very experienced and a very talented man. Give a round of applause to Mr. Dialah. And next we have Ms. Sara Dhaheri. She is the head of the Program Management Office, the Advanced Military Maintenance, Repair and Overhaul Center in Abu Dhabi, UAE. I think a very powerful and knowledgeable woman we have here, and we are very privileged to have her with us to be sharing. Been told that one of the leading assessors that we have here is fantastic to have her with us. And of course, from her background, and I think this information you can see is very diverse and in all various areas. It's fantastic to get that experience and be an assessor. Of course, you will be value-adding significantly. Round of applause to Ms. Sara, please. And then we have Mr. Nelson Chia. He is the managing director for my virtual resource. And prior to that, he was basically one of the earliest involved in Singapore's business excellence assessment, and also involved in ensuring that Philips and also SSMC on the various companies which he worked for embark and get the recognition, not only from the European perspective, from the Singapore perspective. He was involved in the Singapore Quality Award Management Committee too. So his experience is fantastic. It's a very wide experience we have, and we are lucky that we have him here today to share with us. A round of applause to Mr. Nelson Chia. So moving forward, what we will be doing is that our colleagues, our panel will come here and share with you a couple of things. Then we have a bit of discussion among ourselves. Then we open to the floor. But the KPI is 1:55. We have to be done because we have to clear this place. So to start, first of all, I would think, as I said earlier, where does assessors fit in the business excellence program, whatever you have in whichever country? It's very important to know that, because somehow or other I've seen assessors being downplayed as not so important. But I think that is ignorance or misunderstanding of the role of assessors. They are very, very important key part of the whole program that you have. And also assessors need to work as teams. As a team, the colleagues together, all the knowledge, the wealth of knowledge together with the assessment team, when you go out to an organization to assess them, and they among themselves have their caucus and all the meetings, so that's where the knowledge is used to understand the organization and to give feedback to the organization. So it's another part. And the other issue is sometimes we have assessors who may not have enough ground experience. I've personally experienced in quite a handful, especially with the academia or the academics. And their understanding of the practical and academic, from my personal perspective, is a gap. Because in academic perspective, you think everything is perfect, and you're looking for a perfect situation. That doesn't exist. The reality is whatever in theory and whatever in practical, there's always a difference. So the experience of the assessor in the practical world play a very important part in giving feedback to the organization on the practical areas of where they have opportunities or where they think is an issue. But again, all this will be based on the context of the organization. Once the context or the organization profile of the organization is understood and is clear, and the criteria is applied on it like a template, and you can know where the opportunities are or where the challenges are. And next is sometimes assessors, because of they themselves have not done enough in their own organization, or their organization may not even be using the business excellence framework, then they go out on a fault-finding mode. They think it's a theoretical thing, and anything which from their theoretical knowledge is not there, it is no good. So it's a fault-finding mode. Or some of them like to show off their skills, like they're very knowledgeable, and trying to downplay the organization who is typically practically doing the job. So this is another challenge. We need to perhaps enhance the knowledge of the assessors so that theory and practical and real world is different, but how do you balance it and assess objectively? The other observation which we can see is the ignorance of the actual intent of the Business Excellence Initiative. Business Excellence Initiative, countries, organizations use it to improve themselves, or for the country, they want the organizations to use this framework so that the economy can be better with stronger and world-class organizations. So how do assessors play a part towards achieving this objective? So you need to be clear how feedback is given, or how you need to acquire the skills so that objective feedback can be achieved. The other thing is about assessments need to be planned so that you can assist in the assessment process. You cannot keep it too theoretical, because when you get down to the organization, there are various other operational constraints, and how do you consider that in your assessment planning? And your whole thing should be to encourage the organization to continue to use the framework, leverage on using the framework, and benefit from it. That should be the focus. Not, I found this wrong, this is no good, that is no good. That is easy to do. Many people can do that. But by you understanding as an assessor the organization's business and your model, and where is it that you can help the organization? I think that is a very important value adding which the organizations will appreciate the assessors' value creation for them. And the last point is about assessors should always be looking out, how are they going to value it? Just doing your job and giving feedback and writing a report is just one part. The other part is that understanding, knowing the culture of the organization, the difficulties of the organization, and objectively giving feedback in an encouraging manner is going to make a difference. So organizations feel fantastic. I'm getting good feedback, useful feedback, which is something which they want to learn. So this is very, very important about that. Well, the benefits of being assessors, I mean, those of us who are not very sure why you're assessors, there are many. Typically, assessors learn on the job. I count my blessings from my bosses, from the Ministry of Defense until SC Engineering, allowed me to do assessment whenever there is. They have never objected how much time I'm taking. And that gave me the opportunity to visit and go get insights of other companies, and I learn, I can bring back to my company, I can share with the leadership, I can share with everybody else so that improvements can happen. Yes, we see other organizations, in fact, assessors at a level which is detailed, which most other people will not get a chance. The organization wants to show you, they open door to you, so you get details, and it's a fantastic thing. Sometimes even your own employees may not know enough as an assessor who spends 3 days in an organization will know. So it's a fantastic learning on the job, seeing what is real, rather than just the theoretical perspective. So you gain a lot of knowledge, and of course you also can see what you can be brought back to your organization so you can actually benefit. So I think with that, I just want to summarize before we invite the rest. To be an effective assessor, you must know the Business Excellence Initiative's objectives. Why are we embracing, let's say, your own model that you have, or using the Baldrige-based model that you have? Why? What is the objective of it? And then the commitment needed to achieve it. The leadership have their role, Perhaps the administrators have their role, the assessors are very important lifeline inside, then of course then the others who are involved in summing up and giving you feedback. So it's very important for them to know that. And then it's important for you to have a good knowledge of the criteria. Just having read the criteria or having just attended a training and got a certificate is just the first start. Practicing, learning is a lifelong thing. So the more you practice, the more you learn, you never end. And it's important to link the business excellence criteria together, integrate with the management system standards which are there, ISO 9000, 14000, and today we've got various other management system standards, because all of them work in harmony under one umbrella. If you start to segregate them, you're actually creating confusion. You're creating confusion. Even the ISO 9000 2015 is almost Baldrige or EFQN based. If you look at the high-level structure and from clause 4 to 10, it's all about the same. But maybe the scoring is lower because for ISO certification, there's a minimum requirement, so maybe 300 to 400 points kind of thing, but it's basically a similar kind of criteria if you look at the high-level structure. And the next is about assessment skills. My colleagues will be sharing with you later. Assessment skills are very important. Engaging the organization, whether it's a public sector organization, the way the employees there will conduct themselves, and a private sector organization, a manufacturing base and a service base, the way the employees will conduct themselves is very different because the culture and the way they work is very different. So you cannot apply a common skill. So assessment skills, we need to take into account the culture and the different kind of businesses that exist, and the mindset of the assessor. Are you going there to find fault, or are you going down there to understand and help? So if you're going to go down there to understand and help, you are in the right mindset. And that is the mindset that will help you to be an effective assessor. So with that, I will finish my first part. Let me invite Mr. Ali Fadhlani to come and share his part of it. Mr. Ali, please give a round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. Harnek. How much time do I have? 7 minutes? Okay, so I'll try to make my presentation a bit interesting. If you feel it's very boring, just yawn so I understand that my presentation is very boring. The young boys here on the right side, can you all see them? The young boys here on the right side, give me a very good way of presenting, saying, when you put your translator on, it doesn't mean that you are always listening to what the speaker says. It means you are playing Fortnite maybe, but you are connecting it to your mobile phone. So if you please feel free, if you feel my presentation is very boring, to put your translator on, but link it to your mobile and start playing Fortnite. It's a nice game, by the way. Can we hear you? The three triangle of any assessment is the applicant, the assessor, and the Secretariat. Well, from our experience with the Secretariat and with the applicant, we always have a problem here, is that we're getting too many applications. What is the problem of this one? The problem here that the application need to be submitted. The applicant will usually submit the application to the award. The Secretariat will review and assign a team, and then the assessment team will start their work. The problem we are having here always is that we are losing our credible assessors. Every assessment award and every assessment secretariat has a certain number of capable assessors that they are saying as a top of the assessment team. Here we are having a problem that sometimes the applicants are not serious. And we are having some applicants who are either submitting for several reasons. One of the things that leaders are not involved is the business excellence quality department role, and they went on submitting for the award. Some of the people will say, oh, it's a good way to get a free consultation. Most awards, and here in UAE, the participation is a price is a bit low. And guess what? We're getting on a 7 criteria free assessment and a free consultation. The third point is that we don't know what they are talking about. Here they are saying criteria 1, criteria 2, no model knowledge, nothing is there. We as an assessor face a big problem with bad submissions. Things going on here and there, people doesn't know how to put it in a right way. And finally, people think it's very easy process. They will come, they will ask a few questions, like an ISO audit, they will give us feedback, we got the ISO, everything is good. Creates a problem to the award, because in this way, we are losing our credible assessors, assigning them to some unserious people. So when the assessment team goes and visit, which is the most important thing for us, the assessment team goes there, visit, they find there's a problem. Oh, this company is not ready. The submission document is not good. We are having some problems. And this happens to us that there's a waste of assessor, dissatisfaction of the assessor, and dilute to the award image. So what is the solution? I'm proposing here a 3-steps program that will help us filter the applications before it reaches to the Secretariat. In this case, we find, is the applicant is really serious in submitting? Is he really into the point? First of all, the applicant should demonstrate they have a trained employees in excellence model. He has to ensure to us some way or other as a Secretariat that he have enough number of trained assessors. He runs training into internally, externally, that the people knows what they are talking about. The second point is the applicant should attend a submission writing session. I think it is the award role to run frequent submission writing sessions. Submission writing is very important. We as assessor depends too much on the submission writing. We cannot cover everything within the organization during interviews. And we frequently refer back to the submission document. And as good as the submission document, as good as we can assess the organization in the right way. And the third thing is that an applicant should provide an external confirmation. So there should be someone coming to the organization, have a day sitting with them, and give us a letter or give us a confirmation saying that this applicant is serious. This applicant knows what he's talking about. And this will have very well allocating qualified assessors. If we have less number of application, then we can put a better assessor to better application. This will enhance the submission document. This will ensure the involvement of the leadership. Assessor will be visiting nice organizations and learn from them, and that will motivate the assessors. This will increase the award image. The award image doesn't accept anything. There is a filtration process because it happens on that one. And it can help also to create some sort of income to the assessors because everybody will try to reach to be a team leader so he can do the external confirmation to the organization. However, for everything, there are some step downs. This might reduce the participants of small entities because the process is a bit difficult. It might affect the award image as a money focus. So the award image might happen that they focus only on money, they're focusing on money. There will be several assessments on the applicant. So the applicants will have to have several assessments. It's a long process. You need to have a verification, you need to have training, you need to have external partner to assess, and then the award assessment. And it might affect the culture of excellence, spreading it in the organization. I think I am on time. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Ali. And let's invite the next. Thank
you very much.
Ms. Mangalika, next one, Mishari, Mangalika, here. Good. The green one. You can go ahead.
Okay, I'll be discussing about the role of the GPQA, Secretariat.
Press the green one, the center. Yeah. Right.
Our tagline is commitment to excellence. GPA first introduced in year 2000 as IAPQA, that is International Asia Pacific Quality Award. Later on in 2010, we changed the title to Global Performance Excellence Award. And right now, this is the only international formal awarding available for the business excellence. So the purpose of the GPA is to bridge the gap in different economies and different geographical locations. And for this, we use the Baldrige model and EFQM model criteria, and also variations from these two well-known models. And because some countries adopt these models and make variations to suit their countries. How do we manage the GPA program is that we have a structure. We have a governing council which consists of members from the co-council members, APQO co-council members, and also those who are involved in this National Quality Award activities. So the governing council is there. Governing council is chaired by the GPA chair. So they make the final decisions and the policies related to GPA award. Then we have GPA assessors. Dialah will be talking about assessors' point of view. GPA assessors we select from different countries and with vast experience in doing different industry disciplines. And so we have a pool of GPA assessors who are very well conversant in the assessment. Yeah. Then, as Harnek explained, the GPA assessor is a very important critical factor. And then the GPA Secretariat. Secretariat is where all the applications are called and managed by the Secretariat. Normally, Secretariat is managed by a co-council member who is having experience in assessing according to National Quality Award. And also it's supported by the governing council. So all the applications will be called by GPA Secretariat, and we collect the information and then we assign assessors to do the assessment. Objective of the GPA is to promote a culture of excellence through innovation, continuous improvement, learning, transforming and sharing, and also to generate a lifelong learning organization and workforce that enables acquisition of knowledge, accelerate change and remain relevant and evolving business environment for sustainability. We have three main categories of awards. The top one is the World Class Award. Then the second level is Best in Class. And the third level is Quest for Excellence. When we do these GPA assessment and evaluating applications, and from the calling from application and until we complete the entire process, we come across with many challenges. Some of the challenges are because we have to handle multiple geographies and multiple economies. And also we have assessors from various many countries or multiple geographies, again multiple economics. And also most of the time, as the previous panel member explained, and the applications are incomplete. However much we said that you have to provide this information, the applications are incomplete and the applicant do not provide the required information. And also there are communication and language barriers, translation and that kind of things. So these are the basic problems that we encounter. Now this year is our 18th cycle of the GPA. So we have successfully completed 18 cycles, and in the future we expect to improve the process using our experience. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mangalika. No, yeah, go ahead, no problem. It's okay. No, just shake it. Good. Okay, let's invite Mr. Dialah, the next speaker. Go ahead, round of applause, Dialah.
Assalamualaikum, salam Abu Dhabi. My name is Dialah Hutabalian. I am one of the Global Performance Excellence Assessors from Indonesia. First of all, I would like to thank to Almighty God for His blessing and mercies for us today. I would like to thank you to Mr. Harnek Singh, President APQO, who give us the opportunity to be the GPA assessors in 2018. And also I would like to thank to Mrs. Mangalika, who gives his fully support and dedicated to support us to do the assessment in the assessment 2018. I'd like to thank you to Mr. Charles Aubrey, who gives me opportunities also as the one of the examiner at the time in 2016 and 2017. And also the College of the GPA Assessors who attend this event. I met Mr. Johnson George yesterday and today, also Mr. Abdul Halim from Indonesia. Mr. Johnson is from India. So let we give applause to the APQO who arrange and facilitate the assessments of GPA 2018. We give the applause for Mr. Harnek and the team. Okay. I would like to share my perspective on becoming Global Business Excellence or Global Performance Excellence Award Assessors 4.0. It is relevant with the business situations today in VUCA era or in disruptive era. I'd like to bring us to see the perspective how the current situations of the assessments and how I see the futures and how to increase the capacity to be the assessor 4.0. Let me share the perspective of the current situations by using the icebergs models. The visible 10% of the reality we can find in the application document, in the business performance results, which is the past performance. We can find data points from website, social media, and etc. And we can see that I, as the assessors, has my own perspectives to see what organizations do his business by using the business excellence. And also my colleagues also in my team also has own perspectives, and the organizations also have their own perspectives. So, the important thing is we have to dig more deeper to find the criticals while we are doing a team or while we are doing assessings. We realize that the different perspectives would be make something interesting, challenging. So by seeing the perspectives about the mental models from assessor organizations and I myself as an assessor is very important. So understanding the mindset, understanding the paradigm, understanding each other is very important. So how to make it effectively while seeing difference in applications, documents, business excellence frameworks, and scoring guideline is very important. The key is the communications. The communications between the team, the communications between the team with the secretariats, and how we understand each other by increasing our capacity to listening, not to debate or to get the factual data to be debatable, but while we are understanding by seeing from others' perspective, it can be helpful to see the implementations very well. So we do that in our situations while assessing. And the successful of the assessors 4.0 depends on the quality of the attentions and the quality of the intentions by holdings, the code of conducts of the assessment. Then what I see in futures is relevance to the Industry 4.0 era. So we as the assessors has to increase the capacity of understanding the situations right now in VUCA era, to increase the capacity of digital literacy, data literacy, technology literacy, even in human literacy. How might we develop BA assessments development based on a global single framework, for example, or making or creating, developing operating systems so we can see each other in systems? And how might we manage quality level of assessors in recruitment, development, and recognitions? This is very important because as qualified assessor, it's not easy. It comes by process. As being as assessors, business excellence practitioners, and get many experience for doing the things with our professionals background. Then the key challenge that we have to understand of the organizations about the mindset, relevance, the convergence, and community support. We hope by seeing the perspective in the future and we develop the system itself, we can increase and make our quality of the feedback more better. Now, the customers or the clients needs requirement that fats and good jobs. So by using the digital platform, we can make it very well in near futures. And also, I would like to inform that the next conference we are doing in Indonesia, Mr. Harnek. So if you see the pictures there, that is a GWS, Garuda Wisnu Kencana. It's a new icons in Indonesia. So we welcome you next year to Indonesia to see our beautiful places and do conference there. And I thank to the hospitality and great events in Abu Dhabi. I'm very happy to be here, standing here, speaking to all of you, and I would like to give my highly appreciated for the Abu Dhabi as a host. Thank you very much for your attentions, and salam, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dialah. Thank you. Let's invite Ms. Sara Dhaheri, the next presenter. Round of applause, Ms. Sara.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Either you are bored or you are hungry, so you have to decide exactly which situation are you in, both of them. Okay. My name is Sara Dhaheri, and I'm the head of Program Management Office at AMROC. And I'll leave that introduction just to that. And thank you, Mr. Harnek, for the introduction. Thank you for all the attendees who made it up till this time. I'll make it very short and very simple presentation, but I would require your participation, ladies and gentlemen. Since we are addressing the role of the assessors, and probably all my fellow panelists in here have touched into different points, and as Ali stated, what it does take to do an assessment. You have three important participants in any excellence award or program. You have the award secretariat, you have the applicant, and you have us, the assessors. So if I would ask this question, I'm quite sure that there are plenty of assessors in here. So what is the role of the assessors, other than what my colleagues over here stated? Simply, you can get the role of the assessors through the guidelines. I'm quite sure that most of the award offices, the award secretariat, have prepared guidelines for the assessors, right? Some of you can nod the head and said, yes, we usually get a PDF or a A4 sheets with different guidelines, or even we've been trained, on different roles and responsibilities. So there's different roles also of assessors, lots of do's and don'ts. But if I would like to ask you in one verb, in one word, only one, to describe me the role of assessor, one word, anyone who would like to participate. Yes, sir. Pardon? Ambassador of the quality. Someone else? Pardon? Judge. I'll come back to that. What else? One verb. Assist or assistance. No more assessors in here? So we can get different roles and responsibilities, different verbs describing the role of assessors. So you can have words as identify, evaluate, check, add, prepare, assess. So many verbs, right? The prime role of an assessor is, ladies and gentlemen, is simply to be an assessor. I think, and this message is to all my fellow assessors and to the applicants. We are there to assess. We are not to judge. We are not there to be a consultant, and we are not there to be advisors. We simply assess. We are there to understand. Understand what exactly? The role of the assessor is to understand the model, the business excellence model. The role of the assessor is to understand the business, the organization, and most importantly, is to understand the culture. Since we are talking on an international level, an international platform, this is very crucial, ladies and gentlemen, and I've been facing this, to understand the culture of the organization, the culture of the country. It's very important. And this role is of the assessor. What happened? Okay. The third role is to encourage and unveil. Encourage the participants, encourage all those people who you will be doing interviews with. Unveil the facts, try to help them and guide them. And simply assess the organization based on the evidences and without being any bias. Most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, the role of the assessor is to provide a value-added feedback, not any feedback. We are not there just copying whatever is stated in the model and put it as an AFI. Sometimes that happens. The prime role of an assessor is to provide a value-added feedback. My last slide, ladies and gentlemen, are some thoughts that I would like to share with the award secretariat. So, if we can get the support and the guidance and the assistance from the award offices, we would appreciate to have a proper assessors selection model and a framework. How are the assessors selected? just by attending a certificate or a course? Recommendation of a friend? No. Experiences? Yes. The various criteria that the award offices and the award secretariats needs to look at. And we have to address different competencies, skills as well. Feedback. I would request the award secretariat to obtain a proper feedback and engage both the applicants and the assessors in order to revisit the excellence model, to revisit the assessment cycle. Thirdly, I would encourage the award secretariat to collaborate more often with assessors and SMEs. And here, I would like to differentiate, ladies and gentlemen, between assessors and SMEs. We are assessors, and there are also subject matter experts that the award secretariat can benefit from. Raise the bar. The participation in an award, especially on a national level, ladies and gentlemen, should be somehow like admission to Harvard. And I'll leave that thought to you. Innovate. We are in a fast-changing world. Ladies and gentlemen, I would encourage all the award secretariat and the award offices to think ahead, the foresight. We are talking in the United Arab Emirates about the escalation program, X10. We are talking about Vision 2071. And last but not the least, and I would love to do that as well, to assess your offices. I would love to be able to assess the award secretariat and the award offices. So you would feel both things, what the applicant suffers and what we suffer. That's all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Sara. Thank you for sharing. Very enlightening views. Let's get Mr. Nelson Chia, who has been the last speaker. Welcome, Nelson Chia. Must assess award secretariat.
Yeah, first, very good afternoon to all of you. And I thank all of you to be here with us. Saran. Okay, the topic here today basically is what? Be assessor. Is it critical success factor for business excellence program? Now, just now, I think Sara has already shared the importance of being an assessor, how assessors need to play their role, and these are very, very important components of being a good assessor. Okay, I've been an assessor for more than 26 years, and for me, really, why I'm in this for so long is because we know that as assessor, good assessor, our role is very important for the continuation of any BE program. Now, as assessor, we not only need to know what really is a framework, because doing the framework is to enable you to know how to do the job as an assessor. But all assessors, to support the whole BE initiative, they must actually know really what is the purpose of a business excellence framework. Only when you understand the business excellence framework objective, then you can play the role well. And if you see, from basically all the international framework, basically the philosophy, the concept, basically they are similar. There are certain subtle difference in all the business framework. But as assessor, what we need to know is the content, the objective of the framework, and very critical to understand. Framework or framework, they are not prescriptive. And this is very important because many assessors, if they don't play the role well, they go to organization, and they behave not as assessor, but as auditor. looking into how they actually address the framework, how they meet, and they're expecting a straight answer. But in the context of BE, it's non-prescriptive, it's dependent on the business you are in. So the same item can be interpreted very, very differently. Right? Now, I think Sara shares very important, what is the role of the assessor? Basically, verify and clarify. You are there to verify, to make sure that if it's not there, you verify what they say. If they say that it's important, you are there actually to verify. And if it's not clear to you, you are there to clarify. You are not there to pass a judgment. As assessor, when we go to the applicant, it's not only the applicant that we are addressing, because as assessor, we must know that we also represent our stakeholder. Our stakeholder are the authorities. So like, for example, to share with you, in Singapore, we have what we call the Singapore Quality Award Governing Council. They have certain requirements. They want the whole program to be able to continue. They want all the applicants to benefit by coming into this business excellence journey. Now, that is one of the key objectives we must deliver to the stakeholder. So in Singapore, we have the Governing Council, and also we have Enterprise Singapore. Now, the next is shared by Sara. Very important, know the framework. Understand the framework. We, as assessor, must be fully competent, because if we are not competent, when you're addressing a requirement, when you're interviewing the applicant, when you're verifying, when you're clarifying, if you do not understand really what it means to you, then you are actually throwing the applicant away. And last but not least, we got to actually manage the whole process professionally. Why professionally? Because as an assessor, if we do not conduct the whole process professionally, you actually make the applicant do not believe in the whole BE framework, BE initiative. Now then what happened? Many organizations will not come into the program. They will not be applying for the award. And there you see that many, let's say, companies will be staying away, and the whole initiative will slow down. So it's very, very important for us as assessors to understand what is our role. Our role is to help the organization in their journey to business excellence. Not to go there and pass judgment and say they are good or no good, but we are there to gather sufficient information, like what Sara said, to create value for the organization by giving them suggestions for improvement. When we talk about suggestions for improvement, we are not talking about where they are no good, where even when they are strong, there is still improvement opportunity. And for that reason, we got to continue to engage the assessor, the applicant, to make sure that they know that there is continuous improvement ahead, right? And for that reason, before I close off, for the applicant, when they apply for the award, we need to know what really is their intention, right? Intention is not so much to give them whether they pass the award or not. Intention for the most applicants is they want to get feedback. We must give them a very good feedback for them to be able to grow, to improve their businesses. With that, I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson Chia. Okay, now we have heard our 5 distinguished panelists. I would like to first have a discussion among the 5 panelists, get your views on 1 or 2 other areas before we open to the floor, subjected to our 155 ending from here. I just have 1 or 2 questions to the panel. First is, we are talking about the business excellence, EFQM or Baldrige-based, whatever model we have, driven by the national award body in the different countries, right? And to make that happen, they have award administrators they have secretariats. What are the possible solutions or perhaps alternatives that you think that can be considered? How to make sure that the assessors can play an important role to help them meet their objectives? So you can share with us from your experience the opportunities or the challenges which you had, and what are the possible solutions from your point of view which will be useful. Because at the end of the day, we must have clarity on objective of why we are using that model. Assessors play a very important stakeholder role to make the program successful. So we will start. Maybe Mr. Ali, you want to go first?
Yeah. Well, I think from, is my mic on?
Yeah.
I think from my point of view, the major thing we require from the National Award is that sometimes we need a good calibration of the team members. We use something called Belbin assessment, for example, and we identify different roles of the players in the team. We cannot have all the team members dreamers. Then no work will be accomplished. We cannot have all the team members as a very people looking micro without being people. So sometimes we need some sort of filtration for the assessment teams to have different combination, different skills within these teams, different personalities within this team, so that the team can deliver a good project, a good outcome.
Very good. Mangalika? From the same question? I think we will go through all with the same question.
Yeah, I think it's important that the assessor familiar with both the system, models, because for us, of course, we are using both models. And if assessor is not very thorough with both models, of course, we have issues.
Okay, Dialah?
Okay. In my perspectives, the superstars in the assessments of the business excellence is the organizations itself. So we have to see and understanding how they think in their mindsets and paradigm, using business excellence for their own requirements, for their own goals. As assessors, we need to increase our capacity to understanding how they choose, how they prefer, whatever the framework they do in their organizations. We have to more deeper understanding, open mind with all of data, facts, and try to connect it with the systems that we are doing and assessing. And also, we have to use our heart besides our heads, because we are full of the resources. Our tools full of the frameworks, our professionals' backgrounds, our business excellence, knowledgeable, and etc. But while we are seeing the organizations, we have to let it go, whatever we got in past in our experience. We have to be open-minded to see the perspectives at the organization itself. We have to open our heart to listen, to understand to the organizations while they're implementing the business excellence frameworks. And how we stimulate the creativity and innovations and making some breakthrough for the organizations. In my perspectives, the superstar of the assessment is come back to the organizations. We, as the assessors, has obligations to see and to find and feelings what they do in the organizations. Opportunity for improvements is very critical for the organizations. How to find the level of quality, the quality of the improvements, it depends back to our attention and intentions as assessors to see the organizations move forwards. So the capacity of listening to the organization itself, the senior leaders, and then whatever the system stakeholders and the organization is very critical and very important. And also, we as assessors in a team has to realize and aware, but we have different perspective also. while we are seeing the perspectives in assessment. So understanding each other in the team via communications with the caucus consensus, it's really important. So we have to be open also to our college, to be open heart also to our college, and we have to open wills to increase our courage to see what organizations do not see, and to make organizations see the systems they are running. So by using that, I hope we can find a real blind spots or the real OV which have a meaningful and actionable to move organizations move forwards to achieve their targets. Thank you.
Thank you, Dialah. That's a very detailed explanation. Very good. Let's hear from Ms. Sara. Sara.
Well, as I've stated, that the role of assessors is as much as is important, being external assessors. But I think one point I would like to highlight here is that let's not forget about the assessors who are in the organization already. You have invested in those people. You have trained them. Utilize them to the maximum. Yes, we are a third party coming in with a different perspective, looking at your organization differently. But first of all, utilize the resources that you have. You already invested in those people. They know the organization better than any one of us. Utilize them, involve them. So it's not only our responsibility to help and guide the organization, but it's also depends on the assessors and utilizing the resources that you have. I think a message that I would like to deliver is that such platforms, when we had the opportunity where we have applicants, we have assessors, and we have the award offices. Very few, very minimum. Why is that? Why is the role of the assessors is limited only to the site visit, and once we submit the feedback report, bye-bye, right? How often you get to see the assessors, meet with them, have the chance to have even a face-to-face interaction, even post-assessment? I think just as a humble point of view, you can agree to it or not, but even the organization, and this is, I believe this is a practice in AFQM, that the applicant gets an opportunity to have a face-to-face interview or a face-to-face meeting with the lead assessor, for example. We can implement a similar practice where if you have unclarity, uncertainty on a feedback report, you always can approach the assessors. Unfortunately, we don't have that option. Do you have that option as applicants? How often you get to see the assessors after the assessment? How much platforms we have available where we all, the three concerned parties, come together and discuss? We have any platform to share, for example, the concerns, the issues that the applicant had? Probably they are suffering from what we're doing. We don't know, because we didn't have that opportunity and that platform. And vice versa, we are suffering with weak applicants. As Ali said, and everyone has said here, you can have a weak applicant who doesn't even understand the business model, but yet they are participating. So why do we have to suffer only? You guys also have to suffer, right? So I think it's important that, just to summarize that, is let's utilize all our resources. You have internal assessors, you have external assessors. Let's meet and talk to each other, engage. So probably this is a message that I would like to deliver to the award secretariat, is that let's have more platforms as this. Let's share our concerns and our issues. And probably all the three stakeholders can come up with optimal answers and solutions driven from the actual situations. So that's all from my side.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
A very detailed explanation. Okay, Nelson, sure.
I think first off, we got to understand that assessor, this group are the one who spend the most time on the organization. Number two, they actually spend the most time to engage with the organization, right? And for that reason, the assessor is very, very important because they spend time to understand the applicant from reading their application report. They spend time engaging the whole organization. I say whole because they strip through the whole hierarchy of the whole organization to do the verification, clarification through interviews. Now that makes this whole process the major success of the B initiative so important. Now maybe I share with you, just now I shared that I spent over 20 years being an assessor. And that's because in Singapore, I think our national body, our BE Secretariat under Enterprise Spring, they recognize the importance of assessor. So first, every assessor go through a very comprehensive training program, right? And after the training program, they are actually put through a buddy system whereby you do not go new to an organization. There's always a senior assessor that brings this new assessor to go to the organization. Therefore, two reasons is that you make sure that you properly develop the training skill of the assessor. Yeah? And also, going to the applicant, you make sure that all your assessors are competent enough to be able to do a good assessment job. And in Enterprise Spring, what they have also, not only the comprehensive training program, they also have a very good development program. The development program will have, for example, where we have foreign delegates, where we have conferences, for example, assessors are invited to go and learn from all these experts. That's one. Number two, actually, there's a roadmap whereby assessor, where they perform well, where they are able to lead a team, for example, there's certain recognition given to the assessment team. For example, after 5 years and they've done, let's say, they have taken the role of leaders, for example, which is very important in the whole assessment process, they'll be given, for example, green jacket, for example. Mr. Harnek, for example, is a gold jacketer. So there is a development program to make sure all stay, because it's also very important, if assessor is important, you need to make sure that they stay with you. You don't want them to go away, right? So all those are the programs that, let's say, national body can put in place. Then I think the whole BE program can be very, very successful.
Okay, thank you, Nelson. I think we have about 5 minutes left for this panel. It's only fair that we open to the floor. If you have any questions, you can take 1 or 2. We have 5 minutes more. Members on the floor, anybody got a question? Can we have a mic? Or Mexico looks like want to ask a question. Anybody got a mic?
Cora has a question.
Oh, Cora, who's it? Okay, you got a mic there with you? Or who's it? Mexico and Cora?
Mike.
Philippines and Mexico will ask question.
There he comes on your left.
Thank you very much. Anybody here, Jose?
Congratulations.
If you're targeting a question, anybody?
Congratulations to the panel.
Oh, yeah.
It was very good. I wonder, however, that most of the comments were when you do a site assessment. But what about when you do a report assessment?
Okay.
When you don't have the opportunity to really meet the people, nor to meet the real facts that you have. So I would appreciate your comments, because that's what we do in our award.
Anybody will take the question?
Okay. What they are mentioning is actually basically a desktop assessment. Okay, a desktop assessment would not involve a site visit. Now, desktop assessment is very important in the sense that your experience is very important in how to do a good desktop assessment. Now, what happens is in the desktop assessment, I can easily get a consultant to do a whole report for you. Now, if you are not experienced doing the assessment, for example, you are just taking not what the organization practice, but what the consultant know and put into the application report. So first off is that there must be a way of how to sense whether the report is written by the consultant or by the organization. If it's too well written and you can see that it is basically based on template, for example, then the sensing must be there for you to know, hey, you need to do extra effort to go through the desktop assessment. That's one. Number two, for us as assessor, we do not only go and based on the report to assess the company. We actually use social media to help us. Before you go for application, you also need to go to the social media, meaning you go to their internet site. You go and see, for example, whether there's any news on them or not, any recognition given to them or not. All this you put together to do a good desktop assessment.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Any other question? One more?
Okay. Congratulations, all of you, and thank you for sharing. So, we do assess the organizations to measure where they are and how they do with their goals and objectives, their mission, vision, right? Okay. So, competence and skills are important for the assessors, and the feedback is important likewise to the applicant. Now, my question is, how can we make sure, since we need to measure that organization, that the rating system being given by assessors to the applicants are consistent? Because there are some assessors who are very generous in giving ratings. There are some who are not. So how can we make it consistent?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who want to field the question?
I think
Right.
one of the practice what's going on here in UAE, and especially in the government sector, is something called the jury. We have two types of filtration that goes for the hour before the feedback goes to the organization. One of them is called the technical committee, and the technical committee is the first filtration to make sure that. Sorry, is the time right now? So the technical committee is the first filtration to make sure the consistency of the feedback that goes to the applicant, that makes sure that there was no too much micro, where there are the others is too much high level or something like this one. So the technical committee is which consists of 2 to 3 people to make sure that the first filtration part. The second filtration part is called the jury, which for example, I'm a member of the SKIA jury member. The jury, we as a jury, we make sure this is the second filtration, that we don't send a feedback report that we are not happy as a jury of it. So we look after most of the feedback, especially for the award winners. Now, I can't say we look for all the feedback report because there are plenty of them, but at least for the award winners, we need to make sure that we as a jury make sure that it is to the level that we are expecting from the award.
Yeah, thank you, Ali. I must apologize that we are really running behind time. Time's up. We started a bit late, so our air time is slightly shortened, but quality air time. Oh, you have a question? Okay, fine, good. We'll take one question from there.
No, I have a question on dream.
Okay.
In the future, would we see that any of the artificial intelligence taken over the assessor and the assessors become robotic?
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very much. Thank you. Okay, so
we are available if anybody has any question. We are available.
Well, probably.
We are always available. We are assessors, right? We're always available. We want a program success.
May I add the explanations just while for the closings? I want to respond to the second questions here. So maybe I share my experience here. Maybe you can call me.
We have to make it short because we are already out of time. Very short.
So reflective learning and action learning is something that it is very important while we are assessing and while we are making the results of our reports. So what facts, findings, and feelings, also futures, must be clear with the assessors and the applicants. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, I must say, join me, give a round of applause to our 5 panelists for a fantastic sharing. Yeah. Thank you, and see you all later for a dinner.